Hey guys, Lucas from iExplore here, and today we're going to explore Shimbashi, which is one of my favorite areas to shoot, particularly at night for street photography and also like urban landscape scenes. And today I want to talk about something that people have been asking me about in the comments. And I know it's not all of you, I know most of you guys get it, but some people are sort of surprised. Why do you shoot with this big camera? How do you do street photography with a big camera? So I'm going to talk about the differences for me between a big camera and a small camera like the Ricoh GR3. Just before that, I do want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting us on Patreon, joining the YouTube channel, buying the t-shirts that we have on our merch store, and so on and so on. This is a big help for our channel. Of course, even just leaving a comment, hitting the like button, and subscribing is already very welcome. We're very grateful for that. So thank you all for your support.
iExplore.
Okay, so here we are. What is the difference then between a big camera like this, like the Z6 II, and a little camera like this Ricoh GR3? Well, first I'm going to mention what to me is really not a big deal, what is not a big difference, even though people often ask me, like, they bring this up, and that is how discrete the two cameras are. I do admit, yeah, it's a little more conspicuous to use this than this. So sure, if you did some sort of statistical analysis, on average, people are going to notice me more with this one than when I'm shooting with this one. But because of the way I shoot and my philosophy about street photography, it doesn't really make so much of a difference. I tend to be very overt with what I'm doing. I'm not trying to be sneaky. I don't shoot from the hip. I hold the camera to my eye. I hold the camera up. I take a photo. If someone sees me, that's okay. I make eye contact, chat with them. That's stuff I've talked about in other videos. So it's not about how discrete the cameras are. That's really not a big deal to me. It's more about the portability and the ergonomics. That's where the differences lie. But in terms of how I can move with the camera, actually this one is much more versatile. This one I tend to use by bringing it up, like a camera to my eye, which means if I want to get into a position where I can't easily bring my eye, I have to use the back screen, and then it's kind of heavy, so it's hard to hold. Like, it's very tricky to hold this camera, at arm's length with one hand. It's quite heavy that way, but of course the little Ricoh GR, very easy to wave it around at arm's length, get really low, shoot like this, and get some unique perspectives. So that's the key difference for me between the two cameras, the differences in how I actually use them. And that's what I want to do today. So as we explore this neighborhood, I'm going to use both cameras for different scenes and consider how they come out different. So let's get shooting. So the first thing I want to do is actually right behind me here, and that's this kind of utility cover here. Now, anyone watching this who took our Tokyo Metropolis workshop years ago, we used to do this all the time. I used to bring people to this spot or another spot in Yurakucho and teach this little technique. So it's kind of, nostalgic for me to be talking about it on camera today. It's nothing super fancy, but basically there's a surprising reflectiveness or reflection on this metallic grate. You wouldn't expect that, but it's there. So I'm going to take one with the Z6, and then I'll take one with the GR, and just take my strap off now. Well, what am I doing? Keep the strap on, but we'll cut that. All right. So first, just about settings. For what I'm going to shoot, I could have a pretty slow shutter, like a 60th or something like that. And I kind of want to go to 1.4. The other camera doesn't, but again, I'm not trying to compare the settings and stuff. I'm comparing the perspectives that we can get. So I can only get so close to this thing with this camera. And here I will use the flip out screen, which is nice. Nice thing to have. And let's see here. Actually, 60th was a little bit too slow. Okay. And yeah, it looks okay. I'm gonna go vertical as well. I think that'll look even better. And of course the screen unfortunately does not flip out sideways. Okay. There we go. And that's okay. It's not great today, but it got the point across. I think I got the shot I wanted. Now we're going to do it with the other camera, and see, the nice thing is because it's small, I find it a lot easier to get into this position. I have to take it off my neck and stuff. And because it's small, the actual lens can get closer to the surface, which is going to make a nicer effect. And here I will go to a 60th because it's only 2.8. Okay, I'll focus out there. So ultimately the photos are not that different from each other. There are some differences, again, because of these technical differences between the cameras, which are not what I'm really concerned about, but what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that how different it was for me to use them. So I find it easier to do this kind of shot with the Ricoh because it's so small and I can just do it at arm's length. It's very natural. And that's what I like about it, that if I want to do these weird, clever shots, I just find it easier. It's easier to carry around. It's easier to keep in my pocket, whip it out, and do these kinds of things. Okay? So let's move on to the next problem. Ooh. Now here's a good example of where there are trade-offs. Neither camera is perfect. So with this one, because I'm using my eye, to get the exact perspective I want, I have to like take this weird stance because I want to shoot straight out. I don't want to aim down or up. I want to shoot level, but I need to be a little lower because I'm not trying to get too much of this. I'm trying to get more of the ground here, like the stuff at the bottom. So I have to like squat down into this awkward position. But having said that, it's really easy because I'm looking through the viewfinder and it's right up against my face to get a perfectly square shot where I can really tell if I'm not too high or too low. I know I can, because I'm using my inner ear in my head is help, it's how your brain works. Like it's helping you balance and figure out the exact positioning of everything. Yeah, beautiful. So I'm getting exactly what I want. Okay, ooh. But my legs are getting tired from holding that position. Again, it's about ergonomics, right? So, yeah. So I'm able to kind of visualize the frame and frame it perfectly more comfortably with this, but to get into the position where I'm getting that frame, I have to like really use my body, right? We go one last one with this camera because I'm a perfectionist and I want a perfect one. And so with this camera though, because of how easy it is to move it around and how small it is, I don't have to crouch down. I can stand comfortably and I can just hold the camera down here where I want it, right? Oh, beautiful. The subject is exactly where I want him to. But because I'm holding it so far from my eye, right, it's actually tricky to know if I got everything square and level. So I really have to use the grid. I have the grid turned on with the angle lines and the third lines and everything, even though I don't really care for the rule of thirds. But it's just nice having the grid there so that I can make sure that I have this photo plumb, that I'm not aiming a little bit this way or a little bit this way or a little bit up or down. Because for shots like this, I like to have it really square on. I think it just looks better. So the scene is very flat. Okay, and we got some nice ones there, and honestly, they turned out great. So, I get the same photo with both cameras, same field of view lens, different focal lengths, but different size sensors, all that technical stuff doesn't matter. But the point is I'm getting the same image. It's just how I'm going about it is different. And I like this example because it shows that neither way is perfect. There's pros and cons to both ways. And I like using both. They're both very fun to use. It's just a matter of what I'm in the mood for. And then it just comes down to that portability question that I talked about in the beginning, which is, what am I going to carry around with me today? Do I want to carry the big guns or the little sneaky one in my pocket so I can just whip it out when I need it, right? Just a matter of comfort and preference. All right. So yeah, that was a good example. I feel good that really illustrates the point for me, the difference. All right. It's about how you move, or how I move, with the two different cameras in these different situations. Let's go this way. So here's something I like. It's this smoking area over here, and as you can see, there's this glazed, kind of weird frosted glazed glass, and you can see these kind of silhouettes, like these vague, silhouettes of people behind. And sometimes, if you get the angle just right, you can see the lights behind over there shine through, so you get like a backlit silhouette, and it changes the color very nicely. And this is again where the two different cameras. Yeah, I end up using them a little bit differently because it's very touchy, the exact perspective you need to get that silhouette that I'm talking about. And again, I find it a little bit easier actually, in this case with this one, to move it around, right? So let's try that, okay? Let me get a little closer here. And yeah, you see like from a little bit lower angle, I can get lights in the background to line up with that dude who's in there and then get a photo of him. So in this case, I find it a little bit more comfortable. See, I can move it around like this very easily and quickly, and that's what matters to me in this case. That's what I like about this camera a lot. It's how easy, and that's also getting high up. And for this shot, I don't really want to get high up. Probably low is better. Actually, like about chest level there. Nice. Yeah, not the best subjects in there today, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Okay. And then with this camera, you know, I can still do it, but it's a lot more tricky where I gotta, you know, move my whole body like this, and I just find it a little bit more difficult. Still doable, of course, right? So it's a trade-off. If I could always have this size of a camera with this amount of versatility in terms of lenses, I probably would opt for this, right? Because this is very comfortable for 90% of situations. But sometimes, you know, if I use a telephoto lens, let's imagine I could attach a telephoto lens to the GR. Let's say you could do that. You could take this off, put a big 200mm lens on. Holding a 200mm like this does not sound good to me. I haven't tried it, but I can try it on this camera, right? Using the back screen while zoomed in and trying to line up a shot, you know, your hands are shaking. This is much more stable. So for longer photo or focal lengths, which again is a moot point for this camera, but it does apply to this camera, it's actually comfortable to have the big grip and you're holding it like this. Again, it all comes down to the movement, the ergonomics of how the camera feels in my hands for different shots. Well, that was nice. I rather like that. Okay. And again, that shot where I was just shooting really low, pretty easy to do with the Ricoh like this, right? I like these kind of footprints that are telling you where you're supposed to stand. And then this discarded pack of cigarettes and the guy's shoes. Very good. And like I said, to make the shot level at arm's length like this, I'm really relying on the spirit level in the Ricoh here. And then of course, you know, something else I just realized right now is I manual focus. Manual focus is a lot easier with this camera, right? Because you have a big focus ring. I can just manual focus at any time. With the Ricoh you can do it, but you have to push a button and then you use this dial, and you know, it's just not as intuitive. I understand there's no room to put a manual focus ring on the camera. Oh well, it's okay. I don't expect it to be there. It's not a knock against the camera. It's just every camera's a little bit different, right? So, but that's one thing that also jumps to mind. Again, this is more stable, usable, tactile. This is more mobile, kind of nimble and easy to get in different positions. That's what it comes down to for me. All right, guys, we're right back where we started. So I think this is a good place to wrap it up. I think I showed you guys some good examples of how the cameras differ. As I kept stressing over and over again in the video, it's not about how discreet the cameras are. I don't care about that. I don't think either one is, you know, less conspicuous than the other. It's really not a big deal. What matters to me is how you move with the cameras. And of course, in photography, yeah, settings and, you know, the technical differences matter. But what really allows you to be creative in photography, the main thing you're doing to create the image is you're selecting a perspective, right? And perspective is all about position. And to get into these positions, you have to move around. So the camera, how the camera affects your ability to move and get those perspectives is really important. And that's the key difference to me between the big camera and the small camera. I move differently with these two cameras. So thank you very much for watching today. Of course, thank you for everyone on Patreon and the people who've joined our YouTube channel and those of you who have bought our t-shirt from us. I hope you guys are rocking those shirts out in the streets when you're doing your photography. We appreciate all that. And of course, please leave a comment or a question below. And also, quick reminder, we are still trying to collect questions for a Q&A video. We're up to 3 or 4 questions. If you have any questions you'd like me to cover on video, just say, this is a Q&A question, and then put your question, and then once we compile enough, we'll shoot that video. All right? So thank you guys so much for watching, and remember always, challenge your eye.